Looks like we've already got at least one person in the chat, 2 people now. People are starting to join in. I just thought we'd run some trains this evening. Just been busy kind of cleaning up the layout and stuff, but I figured before the night's done, why not get some stuff out on the layout, especially since I've done more work on the layout. Nothing too significant, but for everybody who watched the previous live stream, you'll know that I basically completed this inner loop, so we were running trains kind of around this circuit here. I've now completed some of the tracks, so this train, you'll see, will actually continue on to that layout. So there are now 2 separate circuits going all the way around the layout. I think that should make for some interesting opportunities. Still working out bugs just to make sure there are no derailment spots, but other than that, it's actually been working quite well. Also, we got the Amtrak consist here, which we built in the previous video. Can you run the B class? Yeah, we could definitely run the B class. SMT, how are you and NerfCat? I'm doing pretty well, and I'd say NerfCat is too. Maybe he'll come down here later. How's the double main going? I was just talking about that. So far, not bad. I have to buy some road bed, because right now certain sections are actually just suspended in the air or on little pieces of cork, which isn't great, but other than that, it's been pretty good. Can you run AWVR 767? 767 is not a powered locomotive. It's just a dummy, so unfortunately I can't. Plus, I need to do an overhaul on that thing. Do you have any F units? We've got a few F units around here. We could definitely get one out. I mean, the B class is kind of similar to an F unit. I don't know if that passes or not. Can you run the F40PH Amtrak? Absolutely. Yesterday, I went to my local train store and they were having a sale. One Lifelink GP38 and get a dummy for 1. I got a BNO and an Atchison Topeka Santa Fe. Hi SMT, how are you doing? Can you see the wildfire smoke from Canada? Not significantly, but I have found when the sun's out during the day, the kind of color of the light's a little bit more red, which is usually an indication of that. You can't smell it, but there's definitely signs of it. Anyway, I think we're going to swap out this Amtrak locomotive for the Australian B class, which is kind of an F unit. And then we're going to run the Amtrak F40 after that. Hey dude, do you own any steam era switching engines that you run? Most of the ones I see on your channel are broken. If you're talking about like 040s and things like that, yeah, I do have a few of those. But there's no specific era. I'm not too particular on that kind of thing. Do you still have the Indiana Railroad locomotive? I believe I do. Any new changes to the layout? Well, say it again for anybody who was not watching the stream in the beginning. Sorry, the B class just disappeared. Too tired. Derailed. It'd be pretty cool if it disappeared. Yeah, for anybody who wasn't here in the beginning of the live stream, I was talking about how I've completed the circuit. So in the previous live stream, trains could only run on this inner circuit. Now they can actually go all the way around. So I'm still kind of working out the bugs with that, but so far it's been pretty good. But there's going to be a lot of changes coming up on the layout. Going to be totally redoing this yard right here. The track on the main line is going to be extended out. I'm pretty sure there's going to be another line added, which is going to connect into there just so that we can start using that layout a bit more. And then eventually there's going to be the construction of Forest Fair Village Mall, which is going to be a big one. But I've said before, I'm not going to start construction on that until I finish up the Hershey's factory, which is getting pretty close to done in its own right. Still aiming for that June 16th marker. Yeah, we'll see. I guess the Waffle House is going to get displaced when the mall is built, but time will tell for that. Anyways, back to running our trains. I don't know what caused the V-Line locomotive to derail. It hasn't had a problem with that switch so far. What's your favorite part of the layout? At the moment, it's probably this section with the circus and stuff. It's the most modern section, and I'm very happy with how it's coming along. Seems like the B-Class is derailed again. Maybe it's time to switch it out with that F40 locomotive. I don't know why it's having so many issues. I believe in the last live stream we were running that thing for several minutes and it didn't have any problems, but it's funny how it works like that. Sometimes you set something up, it just works, and another time not so well. I don't know if it's temperature changes in the basement affecting the track work or what the case is, but yeah, it's a little bit strange. How often do you ride via rail? Not terribly often. I mean, I also just don't travel a crazy amount, but when I do travel, it's usually to places that are super far away that you can't get to by train, so I don't really have much of a choice there. I would take Via if I could. Derailed again. I should have brought the F40 out here. We could have put it on the track here. Hey, SMT, for your Amtrak train, you should get an observation car for the rear end that's curved. Yeah, I would like to buy one for that. I feel like it looks a bit unfinished without it. I don't know if Athearn actually made one or if I'd have to find one from another manufacturer. I do have a streamlined Via car, which might snuggle up with those cars pretty well, but I don't know. Hey, SMT, are trains cheaper in Canada than the United States? Generally, no. If you're buying anything brand new, it's going to cost between 25 and 30% more because the Canadian dollar has not been faring very well over the last few years. For used trains, you could argue they're cheaper because the prices have basically stayed the same. As in a $10 Amtrak engine at a train show here is the same in the States. The difference being that, again, the Canadian dollar is not worth as much. So if you look at it from that sense, they are, but now, for anything modern, you're going to be paying through the nose. Plus the shipping, that's another thing. You want to ship anything across the border, it costs you an arm and a leg. Really like the new additions. Thank you. And now this thing is having problems. All right, there we go. Hey, SMT, do you still have the $1 Canadian Pacific locomotive? I believe I do. We'll see if we can find it. I'd be happy to run that thing. It should be on this shelf somewhere. I believe it's somewhere in this section. I'm not seeing it, but I certainly did not get rid of it. There it is. Looks like we're having another problem there. There might not be enough power for that lifelike to cross that switch. I'm kind of thinking about getting rid of those two switches and replacing them with some Pico switches, which seem to just work a little bit better than some of these Atlas ones do. I like the Atlas ones. I've had Atlas switches my entire life, but yeah, I don't know. I find the Pico ones just seem to work a little bit better. crank up the voltage a little bit here, see if that will get the lifelike to go all the way through. SMT, have you ever worked on a lifelike Proto 2000? I tried working on a BL2 and it's hard. Never worked on a BL2, but I have worked on Proto 2000 stuff. Generally, it's very similar to Athearn, so if you've worked on an Athearn, you can kind of just go by those rules. But they are a little more advanced, so I could see how that might be some trouble. Anyways, the story behind this locomotive, for anybody who doesn't know, is basically at a train show about 2 years ago, and I came across this engine. The guy selling it only wanted $1 for it because he said that it was just a showpiece. He's like, this thing is completely screwed, it's never going to run again. So I kind of took that as a challenge and just decided to buy it. And lo and behold, it actually was revivable. So it's not the fanciest engine out there, but hey, it still works. Hey Harrison, how can I get a hold of you off the live stream? If you don't mind, I have some questions that you might be able to help me with. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. You can send me a message there, or you can send an email to scrumptiousmodeltrains@gmail.com, and I'll try my best to get back to you in a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, always happy to answer any questions people have, give people advice on certain projects. I think we'll take that one off because it's kind of loud. Can you run the Dreyfus Hudson along with its passenger train? I'll run the Dreyfus Hudson, but I don't really feel like putting on all those cars. So there's the Richard Dreyfus. Now we just need to get the tender. Have you ever been to Barrie, Ontario? I think I have once. After the dollar locomotive makes a few more laps, can we see the Gandy Dancer run on the inner loop? We could try it. It might end up getting stuck on some of the switches, but I don't see why not. We'll get the Dreyfus running first, though. Hey SMT, I was looking at some Amtrak things online. Do you recommend anything I should do to find a cheaper one on eBay? Not really. I mean, train shows are the obvious answer. If you have a good hobby store nearby, that might be good, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because if you're looking for something really specific, eBay is usually the only option. I mean, you might be lucky and find it at a train show, but that's always kind of a roll of the dice. Hello from Sudbury, welcome. How many engines are you up to in your collection? I've watched many unboxings. I think I have around 500. SMT, are you going to go to the Bangor, Maine train show in November? I really wish I could. I usually only go up to Maine in the summertime, though. But we'll see. It's kind of funny that they're hosting a train show in Bangor, Maine, because if any of you have ever seen the Trailer Park Boys, that's where the show they went to was. Such a funny show. Out of all, what's the best train movie? My personal favorite is Runaway Train from 1985. My second favorite would probably be Unstoppable, and my third favorite would be Silver Streak from 1976 with Gene Wilder. Hello, SMT. Is the second inside loop of your layout completed? Yeah, we've been running some trains on here. SMT, have you heard of the show Ice Road Truckers? I've heard of it. I've never actually watched it, though. Have you ever seen Atomic Train? I've seen Atomic Train a couple times. I mean, it's a well-done movie, but I just find the whole thing depressing. I mean, I don't know. Everything just goes so wrong. I mean, I shouldn't be spoiling it for people, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really get it. What's your oldest model? That I'm aware of is my 1940 or 1951 Hiawatha, but other than that, I don't know. Do you play video games? Not really. I used to play video games a ton, and then when I started making YouTube videos, I just sort of quit. I still play some Grand Theft Auto every once in a while. I like that game, but it's never for a significant amount of time. I'd be surprised if I play for more than an hour every month. Don't take this the wrong way. Are you married? Wondering if the wife would be okay with all this. I'm not married, but I do have a girlfriend. She's pretty chill with about the trains, which is a good thing. Because for people who are not into model trains, I feel like it's a little bit of a difficult hobby to understand. Like when I tell people, you know, I'm into model railroading, a lot of them just don't understand it. But yeah, I don't know. She's really good about that. Microsoft Train Simulator. Yeah, I haven't played that game in a couple of years because my old Windows machine got busted. SMT Mainline After Dark. Yeah, that's what we should call this now. Yeah, Unstoppable was a very go movie, no lie. You just need to get 1206 and you're done. You can make Unstoppable. That's the goal. Any recommendations for railroading games? Trains with a Z or Railworks. I mean, those are basically the main two. Maybe Open Rails as well, but that's a bit of an older one to my knowledge. Your maintenance and repair videos are so addicting, man. Hopefully there are more coming soon. I have some in the works. I've ordered some really interesting pieces of equipment online, even a couple brass things, so I'm really excited to get working on those, and got tons of projects ready to go on a shelf just behind me, so there's definitely going to be more repairs coming up. What do people want to see repaired first? That's what I'm wondering. Is there one thing that should be fixed above all else? When did you first start your train layout? I got my first starter set for Christmas 2006, and I got the layout for my birthday, which was a couple months later in early 2007. Brass stuff is hard to use. It can be very fickle. The only thing I really like about brass stuff is that you can really dig into it and disassemble it and clean it out and stuff, and you can adjust things, but they can be a nightmare if you don't put them together properly, which I'm still not an expert, but if you take your time, they can be good runners. I went to a model train show and I got a sweet discount on a $4 item. I saved 50 cents. SMT, have you seen any abandoned or forgotten trains? It's happened. I mean, all museums kind of have a section with some abandoned equipment, so I've seen tons of abandoned stuff in that sense, but also the train which used to run, past my grandfather's after the railway shut down, those cars fell into disrepair, and just before they scrapped them, I kind of went wandering around there just to see everything for one last time. Is $18 good for an Athearn Blue Box? If it's in working order, yeah. What's the best starter kit for beginners? Honestly, I'd probably just go with one of the cheaper Bachmann kits. I'm not a huge fan of Bachmann, but they do sell the cheapest train sets, so, you know, just buy a cheap train set, and then, I don't know, buy yourself like a Walters train line locomotive to go with it, maybe, just to get started off. I mean, if you can afford a Walters set, that might be nicer, but, yeah, they cost like $100 more, so, yeah, I don't know about that. It barely runs. Well, if it's a blue box and you're willing to put some time into it, you can probably fix it up. Blue boxes have very good quality parts, so if it's barely running, that probably means you can get it into working order. I have a collection of toy trains, not HO. It's a whole closet full of toy trains from different brands, including Lionel. Hey SMT, I was wondering if you had any DCC controllers for spare. I'd appreciate it very much. Also, do you still do repairs for people? I unfortunately don't do repairs that involve shipping. If you live in the Ottawa area, I'm willing to do local repairs, but I was doing repairs that involved shipping for a while, and that was causing so many issues you wouldn't believe it. You know, trying to coordinate that whole thing was a nightmare, and yeah, it had a lot of challenges. The thought of disassembly of an HO scale brass Big Boy or John Henry for painting makes me feel like this. Yeah, I don't blame you. I probably wouldn't even want to take something like that apart for painting. SMT, have you ever been to Bering, Maine? There's hundreds of Bangor and Aerostock RS4 reefers and abandoned with a couple Boston and Maine from the 40s. I can't say I have. I've been to the Seashore Trolley Museum in Kennebunkport, and I also went to Short Line Railroad in Portsmouth, Maine. But no, those are the main railroad attractions I've been to. I haven't seen too many others. Run the worst F unit in your collection. Okay, well, let's see what we can find. It's gonna be interesting. I don't really know. I've got some bad locomotives, but a bad F unit. I don't know which one would be my worst. Actually, I might. So these layers right here, and here are most of the F units. Most of the ones on this layout are pretty good, but I think this one might be the dud. That's a dummy engine. Yeah, I've got this one, and it was so poorly made. It runs pretty well, actually, but yeah, I'll show you kind of my issue with it. I think this might be the worst F unit I have. Have you ever been to California? I have. I was in LA back in 2013. I think I went to a place called Ernie's Trains. That was a pretty cool store. How are they organized by manufacturer? Everything's roughly organized by what type of locomotive it is. So most of the F units are in the same section, so on. But that's pretty much it. Anyways, so this engine's made by Play Art. Why I would say it's one of the worst in my collection. First of all, paintwork. It's really bad. Tons of overspray. Decal. The paint bled into the decal. So really poor craftsmanship. The shell hardly holds onto the body. Even when you clip it in, this will pop off. And then the wheels were so poorly made, they're actually uneven. So when they rotate, the engine kind of bumps around on the track. Anyway, I'll run it for all of you. It actually is a decent runner because it's got a can motor, but those wheels just kind of ruin it. You hear that thump, 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 thump? Whatever, it runs perfectly fine. I don't know if I'd say perfectly, but yeah, it is a runner. I don't know. As much as it's a junker, if somebody offered me like $200, I still wouldn't take that. Too many memories. Anyways, trying to see. Sorry for asking multiple times, but do you have any NS DC to AC locomotives? DC to AC. I don't think so. I've got some Norfolk Southern stuff, but not from that particular line. I didn't know Norfolk Southern even had engines for specific lines. Can you please run a local passenger train with a local freight train? Do you have any good recommendations on where to shop online? I usually just use eBay. It's not my favorite, but they're pretty good about protecting you as a buyer if you ever have a problem. I find most eBay sellers are pretty good. I mean, I've been gypped a couple times, but I don't know. It's pretty much the only place I buy trains online from. BHP iron ore. Yeah, we can definitely run that. This was having some sort of a problem. I don't know if it's going to continue with that, but we'll try to run it anyways. Whatever happened to the SMT Berkshire? Nothing happened to it. It's up on the shelf somewhere. eBay is good for buyer protection. I agree with SMT. I bought lots of stuff on there. I will say why there was this one time I bought a train off of Etsy, and it turned out that the seller didn't know it was a dummy locomotive, so they listed it for the price of a powered locomotive. So I got it, and I wasn't very happy about that because they never displayed that it was a dummy engine. So anyways, I contacted them, and to Etsy's credit, the seller was fantastic, and he actually said I could keep the locomotive and refunded me 100% of the purchase price. So that was really good, but I don't know if that's Etsy's work or if I just had a really nice seller. Either way, I left the guy a good review because I was like, I mean, that's just... I almost felt like that was too much. That seems like above and beyond, but yeah, I was really impressed with that. I don't have a whole lot of HO, but I am a huge toy train collector. What's the smallest switcher you have? I've got a little Whitcomb switcher we can try to run. I also said I was going to run a Gandy Dancer, so I guess we'll get that out as well. For some reason, these two do not want to couple up. I think that the coupler on the PHP might be broken. I don't know. So we'll see how far that goes before derailing. All right then. Yeah, I don't think that that's going to work. Anyways, here's the Whitcomb switcher, which I was referring to earlier. I think this is the smallest switcher in my collection. And up here we got the little Gandy Dancer. We'll run both of those. Maybe we'll try to pull the Amtrak cars with the Whitcomb switcher. It's probably strong enough. What engine do you have that can pull the most freight cars and run it? It'd probably be my Rapido locomotives. Those things have pretty remarkable pulling capacity. Anyways, there's the little Gandy Dancer. I wonder if something's got caught in the wheels. That seems to be having some running issues. Yeah, that's not ideal, but I'll try to run this thing anyway. Yeah, the Whitcomb restarted the Gandy Dancer. That's great. The Amtrak cars look rad. Yeah, they turned out real well. The little switcher that could. Yeah, you can't underestimate die-cast. When you have every part made of metal, it really helps to give you good pulling capacity. This thing's actually got a 5-pole too, so in comparison with like an old Tyco locomotive, which is 5 times the size, this thing is actually stronger, so it's pretty remarkable. How about that? Yeah, I could pull it. Unfortunately, the coupler became disconnected over there, so we'll have to go retrieve those cars, but yeah, we'll try to get those out. Do you have any red passionate cause? I don't know. Probably not. Do you have any miscellaneous 040 with some intermodal cars? I think that would be funny. Yeah, we could try to do that. It's the most challenging repair video you've done. It was the RS3 that I turned into a Canadian National locomotive. It was some sort of antique, which somebody had probably built in the 1940s or 50s, and they had thrown grease in there. It hadn't been properly built when it was new, and then when I got it, it was even worse just because all the lubricants and stuff they had thrown in it had dried out. So anyways, that engine was in horrible condition, and I truly believed at one point I was never going to get it running again. I don't think that there's ever been a locomotive which I've had to put up more of a fight for, but it paid off. It did work in the end. All right, let's see if this thing is strong enough to pull these cars. How many Burlington engines do you own? Burlington Northern, probably 3. As for just Burlington, I think I only have about 2. Huh, I guess the Gandy Dancer made it further than I thought. And there, derails. Now, this does not want to start. I don't know why. This was just running a couple minutes ago, and now it's completely locked up. Headlights on. Oh, this is quite mysterious. Yeah, I think one of the wires that goes to the motor is kind of giving up the ghost. Poor little switcher. I mean, I found this thing busted at a train show for $5. I think I probably should have replaced the wiring on it, and I decided not to. And the problem on an engine this small is that if you don't manage your wires carefully, they can actually get chewed up by the gears. So I think that's probably what happened with this one. Another project engine, yeah. It's about time for that one to get an overhaul. Well, I don't know what problem the Gandy Dancer was having in the beginning there, but it seems to have worked through it. Do you have a Clinton DeWalt? I don't think I do. Any tips for kit bashing stuff? Take your time, but I don't know. I feel like that's pretty obvious advice. Can it be fixed? I'm pretty confident it can be. I don't know if I'm behind on any requests at the moment, but if any of you have any, I'd be happy to take them out on the layout. Can you run the cab forward? Yeah, sure. Just need to figure out where the engine's in storage. Thought I'd put it up on this shelf, but I'm starting to think that it might not be. I don't know where the cab forward's at. Right up here is the big boy as well as the SMT mainline engine. Back there is the other big boy. I have its tender. No cab forward. Boston and Maine locomotive. Yeah, we can make that happen. Try getting this thing to pull it. Have you ever had any flooding in your basement? I need to remodel mine because of water damage, and I plan to install a couple of sump pumps. Yeah, we have had some flooding in the basement. Nothing significant over the last couple years, but years ago we had a real bad flood and we had a couple inches of water down here. It never really affected the trains, luckily, but it's kind of hard to see. But if you look at the feet of this layout, this was around for that flood, and you can see where the water was seeping. The lucky thing was that when they built the basement, the people who didn't do a very good job, and the floors were uneven, and the layout happened to be on a high spot. So the layout was in some water, but it certainly wasn't as bad as some other parts of the basement. Okay. I think the coupler on one of those cars is not very effective. I'll just try to back them around. Well, that's unfortunate. SMT, when are you going to do another mail unboxing? Because I want to probably send you something. I'm not sure. I have had several more boxes arrive recently, so there's probably going to be another one on the way within the next month. But time is of the essence, and I just don't know. Probably the next video is probably going to be a repair. I think that's probably what's coming along. Eventually I have to get that train show video done, as that's been waiting for a while. Really love your layout. Thank you. Do you like the Rail Chief set? Yes or no? I do like the Rail Chief set. I had one when I was a kid, actually. Why did my Lifelike catch fire on Lifelike tracking and controller? If the motor was under too much strain, it might have burnt out. Anyways, maybe it's time to take some of these Amtrak cars off the main line, and I don't know what would be better. Maybe the intermodal cars? We haven't had those out in a while. That looks like the early days of Amtrak using equipment from other railroads. It probably was. It's a very similar story for Via Rail. It's basically how they started it with, I think, mostly Canadian Pacific stuff, which they had inherited. Can you make a Draw My Life video? People are still doing those? I thought that was like a trend which died in 2014. Would you like to be in our club called the Wilmont Cascade Model Railroad? I mean, I probably would. I don't think I live anywhere near that, though. Oh, like clockwork. I think somebody requested a BNSF engine earlier, so we'll put that on. SMT, do you play Roblox? I don't play Roblox. I was playing it with my friend back in like 2010, but that's my only experience with the game. I'm kind of amazed that it became popular again. SMT, do you have any trying locomotives? If so, can you run them? I do have a few trying engines. We can definitely get one of those out. How many Australian locomotives do you have? I think I'm up to 3 of them now. More on the way. Someone wants to know what the biggest derailment was. I can't think of one in particular, but I've had some doozies over the years where stuff has rolled off the layout and I've broken cars and couplers and things like that. What Australian locomotives do you have? I've got an AC6000 BHP locomotive, a B-class dipped in orange. There's another one I'm forgetting. I ordered another one, but there's also an old Hornby trying one. How long does it usually take to edit your videos? Probably 4 or 5 hours. Some of them take much longer than others, though. Obviously, like a 15-minute video is not as tricky as a video that's a half hour long, but no, it takes a lot of time to kind of condense the footage down. I find I usually, like, if you take an hour of footage, you're left with 15 minutes. So it's crazy how much it condenses down, but I don't know. There's a lot more editing, I think, in my videos. There's lots of little cuts, like in unboxings, while I'm unwrapping stuff, and it's only like 5 seconds, 2 seconds between, starting to unwrap something and then actually finishing that off. But it just makes the video go a little faster, and I just find they're a little more enjoyable that way. So it pays off. But yeah, the editing takes way longer that way. SMT, I just graduated school and I'm going to get an SD60M for a gift. Well, congratulations. That's a pretty cool gift. Anyway, somebody requested that I run a Hornby Triang locomotive. I kind of have one in mind, which I think would be interesting. It's not everybody's favorite, but it is unusual. And what does everybody think of this? Probably would be fine to run on the inside loop, honestly. Looks like we got a super chat. Let's have a look. Who's this from? Call me Big Papa. Thank you for the super chat. Can you run the Yellowstone? We can try. I don't know if it's gonna work, but we'll give it a chance. Let's see if this ugly thing will run. Can you run the Indiana Railroad Jeep? Yeah, I think we can make that happen. The CN engine must have derailed somewhere over here. Well, so much for that. SMT, what's your favorite cartoon? My favorite cartoon was probably Pink Panther. Not the remakes, though. The original one from the 1960s. That was awesome. I freaking love that show. All right. Let's see if we can find that Indiana locomotive. There it is. Do you have a Baldwin DR6 2000 jersey, Janice? I don't think I do. Anyways, we'll get this thing all set up here, and I'll grab the Yellowstone while I'm over here too. Can you make a video about the history of the layout? That's an interesting idea. Probably be good if I completed some of the renovations first, but yeah, I really don't see why not. I did one years ago where I compared the layout then to the layout in 2008. I don't know, maybe I should make another comparison, because this year it's going to be 15 years since that other photo was taken, so... Has the Yellowstone been fixed? I can't remember. We're going to find out. I don't remember if I damaged it in the last live stream or not. It might not work. I don't know. Can you bury a very old locomotive in your layout for character? I don't think it would work. There's nothing to dig into. It's like a layer of plywood and a layer of Homosote. Hey SMT, how is Nerf Cat doing? Nerf Cat's doing fine. It's been coming up to my room every morning because my parents are out of town right now, and jump up on the bed and meow in my ear, tell me it's time for breakfast. Like, get out of bed. I don't know if I'm gonna bother hooking up the cars just because, again, let's find out if this thing even runs. Pretty sure I broke it on the previous live stream, but that's fine. Doesn't sound very happy, but it's moving. Sound is not great. Yeah, I think this thing probably needs a new set of gears. I'm kind of surprised that it started. I thought some damage had been done, but I don't know, something's not right in there. Is that a box? That's interesting. SMT, are you going to do a collection tour soon like you did in the first years? Yeah, probably so. It'd take a little longer now because the collection's probably doubled since then, but I think it would be nice. We need to have an F unit count. Yeah, absolutely. Question, is having a layout inside of an attic a good idea, or will the heat in the summer melt the plastic? It depends where you live. Yeah, if you're in a southern place, I could see that being a problem. Can't believe it's been 2 years since 10,000 subscribers. I know, it's just crazy. Channel's have really come a long way since then. Can you show us the Hershey factory? Yeah, sure. There it is in all of its glory. Just doing a little bit of work the other day, starting to kind of pave the back of the factory. So I have to finish sanding and painting all of this right here, but it's kind of getting all the pavement done. I also have to put some details in the windows. I have to complete a few more air conditioners, and then that's it. It's going to be done. It's so close. Got literally, I think, 2 AC units to complete, and again, just a little bit of cleaning, sanding, just finishing touches, and then be ready for the big day. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to also clean this up because Just having some friends over. It looks like somebody put their drink on here. How's the SMT F unit doing? I don't know. Let's go have a look for it. I can't see it right now, but oh, there it is. How long did it take to build your layout? This all started in 2007, but it's not really like a start to finish thing because this has been rebuilt more times than I can count, and so I don't know. You could probably build a layout pretty easily under a year, but in reality, people start construction, and then by the time they're finished with it, they're ready to build something else. I find that's how most people go around about the hobby. First layout is usually not your last. So river tornadoes where you live, not too often, knock on wood. We did have a Derico, which was pretty spooky last year, and that messed a lot of stuff up in the Ottawa Valley, but other than that, not really. Anyway, I can't see him. I'm looking for my coupler car. Oh, there it is. You never finish your layout when it comes to a layout. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. The thing about building a layout is like at some point you've just got to decide like when you actually want to start building it, because I find some people can get so caught up with the planning phase that they never actually build anything, and it's kind of like, what's the point? So at some point you just got to start winging it, putting things together, break a few eggs. But you know what usually happens is when you build your first layout, you come out with so many more skills that by the time you get done with it, it's like, well, I could have done this a little bit differently, and I think I'd like to add that. And then that's, I find usually how people get to building a second layout or redoing their layout. Show me a finished layout. It will either be a club that has filled their space or an old model railroader who has passed away. Yeah, that's so true. SMT, you should try to run your SD70 ACE. Not sure which one. Will you ever quit doing model trains? I don't see why. The trains have been in my life since I was a kid, and I still enjoy the hobby just as much now as I did then, so I don't really see a reason why I'd get rid of them. SMT, you should try to revive the newer Discord server. I don't know about Discord. I think I'm pretty done with trying to run those servers. Every Discord server I've ever had has not worked out too well. It's just resulted in a lot of drama, nonsense. I don't know. Seems like a waste of time, to be honest. See if this will actually work this time. Yeah, there we go. Trackside Mike, welcome. Tracks are a bit too close. They might be, although that back car was derailed. I don't know if it derailed before or after. It's always good to find these things out before you go ballasting everything down. Love your videos. Thank you. Can we see a Nerf cat? Well, I was kind of hoping he was just going to come downstairs, you know, kind of hearing stuff going on in the basement, but I don't know where he is. Do you have a nickel plate road engine? I don't know. Anyways, I think it'd be good to swap this thing out for some other locomotive. I'm open to suggestions. SMT, what other social media? Where can I follow you? It's basically just Instagram. I don't. I have a Facebook account, but I haven't logged into that in a long time, so I don't know. There's not really much to see there. Yeah, it's basically just Instagram. I wish I had more stuff, but Twitter, I'm not a big fan of Twitter. Not a big fan of Facebook. Snapchat just seems like a weird medium for, I don't know, connecting with people who watch the videos, so I never created one for the channel. So yeah, it's basically just Instagram. Can you run the Erie Hakawana? Yeah, we can definitely run that. You have a TikTok account. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yes, I have a TikTok. You can follow me on there. It's never going to be any remarkable content, but I probably will continue just making random videos for that, as well as some YouTube shorts eventually, but that's up the road. I just really want to focus on the videos. Now, let's see if we can find the Erie Hakawana. I thought it was stored somewhere here, but it could be in a different spot. Maybe it's over here. Hey, look, it's the cab forward we were looking for earlier. So there's one missing engine gone. Let's see if we can find the Hakawana now. It must be on that other shelf. Probably just not looking too carefully. Can you run the Centennial, please? Also, do you like camping? I love camping. I haven't done it too many times, but love the outdoors. Yeah, I can't seem to find that. We'll run the cab forward for now. Hopefully the Erie Hakawana will turn up. Do you have any track cleaning cars? Do they work or are they junk? I haven't had great experience with track cleaning cars, but I've got some friends in the hobby who are very serious model railroaders, and they swear by them. They say, oh, you don't ever have to work. You just set them up, let them do all the job for you, and it's great. Quite the collection of locomotives, never have enough. Yeah, exactly. I think the right ratio of locomotives to cars is 5-to-1. And a lot of people will disagree. Whoops, sorry. A lot of people will disagree, and they'll say, you only need a couple locomotives in your collection, but where is the fun in that? I've seen so many videos where, you know, professional model railroaders will discredit people for buying too many locomotives. They'll say, you just don't need that much power on your layout. I think they're wrong. I think you should have more locomotives than you have rolling stock. SMT, do you have some Bachmann? I've got a fair amount of Bachmann locomotives. Do you have any Australian trains in your collection? Yeah, there's one of them, and I also have a B-class, which we were running earlier in the live stream. That's not the right tender. Where the heck did the tender for that engine go? Here it is. Do you work at a hobby shop because you bought the entire stock? I wish I worked at a hobby shop. There aren't any hiring in the area, unfortunately. The favorite scene in Garfield is the... Yeah, there... If any of you have ever seen the Garfield movie, there's a scene where he gets into some sort of a station and he actually ends up rerouting all the trains. I loved that scene as a kid. SMT, can you say hi to Trevor as a surprise? Hi, Trevor. I worked at one for 4 years in suburban Detroit. My favorite job, but the clientele were significantly older than me. SMT, can you run a 1950s Hiawatha with Amtrak coaches? Probably not. I don't really take the Hiawatha out too often. Should add the house from the Polar Express to your layout. That'd be fun. My real goal is to try to buy a Polar Express model. I think that would be quite nice. I didn't say that was one of my favorite train movies. I didn't really... It doesn't come to mind, I guess, because I consider it more of a Christmas movie, but... Is it better than Silver Streak? I don't know. There we are. How many accidents have you had with your model railroad? That Acela one was brutal. Really sorry about that. I've had a few myself. Oh, I couldn't. It's probably hundreds. I couldn't count them. I mean, there's probably at least 5 every live stream, but not too many significant ones. The Acela one was a bit of a doozy, but I don't think anybody should really have sympathy towards that because I was being really foolish with that locomotive and I paid the price for it, but I fixed it. It's all good. Oh, looks like we got a super chat. That's from Shane's Trains. Hey, SMT, been a while. What's a better paint scheme for passenger cars? SMT or Canadiana? Just curious. SMT. I'd probably pick the Canadiana paint scheme. Where did you get the crossing in the background? The crossing in the background was a gift from my grandparents. They found these lights, which are genuine, being sold locally, and they actually ended up building that whole railroad crossing. That was a surprise, by the way. When my birthday came around and they gave me a choice. I could either go to the train store or I could get the 2 lights, but they told me I was just getting the 2 lights, and I thought, oh, that'd be cool. You could hang it up on the wall, something like that. Anyway, a couple months later, they show up and they had the entire crossing. I couldn't believe it. I don't own a layout myself, but where I go to do some volunteer work at a heritage roundhouse, I like to use their model trains. It's really nice when you have a museum like that. Can you restore the creepy 1950s steam locomotive? Maybe that will be the next video. Might film one tomorrow, and that's been one that I've wanted to prepare for a while now. It's gonna be a big job, though. There's no doubt about that. Hey, SMT, I've returned with an important question. What would happen if you were to use WD-40 on an HO scale smoke unit, more specifically a Bachmann one? I wouldn't do that. I mean, it might create some smoke, but burning, WD-40 is not meant to be burned. You might end up starting a fire, and I also don't know how healthy it is to be inhaling partially burned WD-40 fumes. When will you get a table for the N-scale layout or the O-gauge layout? I don't have any plans to right now. What happened to the cars in front of the Hiawatha? Oh, I'm moving the store, so I had to clear out the parking lot. Those are all going to be street side now. No locomotive is involved, but I saw a video of this guy using WD-40 on his O-gauge Lionel post-war locomotives, and it looked exciting to be using that instead of the usual smoke fluid. I mean, I don't know. I don't doubt that it would probably work. I just don't know what the long-term effects of doing something like that would be. And also, a post-war Lionel engine has a much larger smoke unit than a Bachmann engine does. The Bachmann engines just have this tiny little coil, which can fail quite easily. So I'd probably just buy a genuine smoke fluid. WD-40 is bad for plastics. That's the claim. I don't use WD-40 on as a lubricant. It kind of sucks as a lubricant. It's a terrific penetrating oil, but there's this whole narrative that WD-40 destroys plastic, and I just don't buy it. I mean, the can itself, the parts that spray out the WD-40 are made of plastic. Like, if that was true, the cans would all would melt their own components. So I don't know. I truth be told, when I was younger and I didn't know better, I put some WD-40 in a few of my Athearn locomotives, and those same Athearn engines are still running. Maybe there are some kinds of plastics which can't handle WD-40, but that's the thing everybody's been talking about for years, and I've never seen any actual evidence to prove it. What's the most expensive locomotive you own? It's probably my grandmother's Hiawatha. That thing is probably worth about $1,000 or so. SMT, I have 3 questions. What are you doing for 100,000 subscribers? What do you have planned for a layout in the future? And did you know that Lionel has an HO scale Polar Express? What do I have planned for 100,000? I don't know. I'm still quite a ways off from 100K, so I don't have anything thought out, but I would like to do something if the channel ever gets to such a point. What do I have planned for the layout in the future? There's going to be a mall added, and there's going to be some rerouting of the trackage, which is, I think, going to improve this section of the layout, so you can look forward to that. And yeah, I have seen the Lionel Polar Express. I just don't know if I want to get that or try to build one myself from maybe a Rivarossi engine. I had to order new drive axles for my Athearn Blue Box GP50. Took it apart the other day, and the axles on the front trucks fell apart. Ooh. That's pretty weird. It can happen that gears can crack. Luckily, I believe you can still buy factory parts, or at least new old stock parts on eBay. So you probably just buy yourself a new set of gears or a new set of axles. WD-40 is no good for some plastics. I seen someone spray that on a radio and it ruined the plastic, took away the sheen and removed all the paint. Well, it removed the paint, but again, can it melt the plastic? That's the tough part. I know there's tons of different plastics out there, but what ones can it damage? How's the Hershey's factory going? Any other candy cars? My dad has a Dots box car he'd like to run with his Tycho Rock Island line. The Hershey's factory's coming along. I was saying earlier in the live stream, I've got a few air conditioning units which need to be completed, as well as a few details just around the windows on the back of the factory. A little bit of paint work, but other than that, it's basically done. I'm going to tidy it all up for the completion date, but there's not much left to do, truth be told. I lubricate locomotives with WD-40. It works except the pancake drives. It is bad for pancake drives. It destroyed my life like FP40. I'd believe that because if it's hard to get oil on a motor in a regular engine, but in a pancake drive that's really easy because if you spray oil in it, it will just go all the way down to the motor, and then once it gets on the commutator, you're gonna have problems. I wouldn't be surprised though if you opened it up, just cleaned out the WD-40, cleaned up the commutator, you know, that engine might come back to life, honestly. Does your mom or dad collect model trains? Neither of them collect model trains, but my dad used to have a model railroad, so he has a good understanding of the hobby, that's for sure. Funny story, one time 300 from a train show, 2 of them melted, and I accidentally put 2 of them on a heater and they melted. The only reason I asked the question is because I recently bought a Bachmann J-Class, but the older Spectrum version, today it arrived, but for some reason it was supposed to come with smoke fluid. Oh yeah, if you're buying well, if it's used, it's probably already just been burned up, but if it's brand new, some train stores will remove smoke fluid before they ship a locomotive out, especially if it has to cross a border, because I guess that can cause some issues to arise with border security. You know, they see this little bottle of fluid with the train and they don't like that, so some stores will just pull them all out of the boxes and ship them like that. I was about to order a new set of drive axles for that locomotive off of eBay. Sorry about the other one, but the story was I bought 3 engines from a train show and 2 of them got melted after I accidentally put them on a heater. Well, that's unfortunate. You're on the trolley on your layout. Yeah, I don't see why not. We'll run it on the inside loop. I hope that you do a Canadian-themed layout in modern period with foreign diesels, modern diesels from the United States and Mexico. Well, I have some modern locomotives from the United States. I don't have too many locomotives from Mexico. Nothing against buying some more Mexican engines. I just happen not to have any. You please run your bizarre 1950s train. I would love to see more Japanese stuff on the channel. To tell you the truth, I don't know if I still have or not. I use CRC MAF sensors to clean locomotives of oil without taking it apart, safe for plastics and electrical wiring. I've seen CRC used. It's probably good for the contacts. The only thing I wonder is, you know, if you have like hair or anything in the drive, it's probably something you want to get out. Canadian Behavior, welcome to the live stream. How are you? How's life? Not bad. Thanks for asking there, Liam. I just found the channel. Very cool. Thank you, TEH. Think you can run the big boy if it will run? Yeah, sure we can show. Mass airflow sensor. Oh, okay. The layout looks mint. Yeah, thanks. We've been adding some new tracks onto it. Anyways, the main reason I bring up WD-40 SMT is that the J-Class I'm talking about is in my hands, but unusual. It smells like WD-40 and it's greasy around the boiler near the stack and smoke unit. Well, maybe somebody already sprayed some in there. Eric says, your channel has been a huge inspiration for my trains. You're making good videos that you put time and effort into. Yeah, I appreciate hearing that. I do try. SMT, can you run a GG1 with Amtrak coaches? I don't have any Amtrak coaches, but we could run an Amtrak GG1. I got an old N-Scale Lifelike GP38-2, and I'm going ham with upgrades on it because I have too much time. Do you have any recommendations for DCC decoders for this? Lifelike GP38-2. I'll be honest with you. There's not a specific decoder I'd recommend. I wish I had more knowledge on DCC. People ask me a lot of questions about DCC, but I'd be lying if I said I knew a whole lot about it. Do you own any Marx wind-up O-scale? I've got one four-wheel Marx locomotive, which is a wind-up. It's kind of hard to see, but it's at the bottom of that shelf over there. But that's pretty much it. I didn't buy it on purpose. It came in this lot with a whole bunch of other stuff. Hey, SMT, I just got promoted to middle school yesterday, and my mom is letting me pick an engine with the league of $100. Also give Nerf Cat a rub on the head. Well, congratulations on that. Hope you can find something exciting. And yeah, I'll definitely give Nerf Cat a good scratchings. He's a sucker for a good scratchings behind the ears. Do you have any RC cars? I had one years ago, but I don't anymore. Can you run the DD40 if it works? Somebody requested that earlier. I'm sorry I forgot. First, we're going to run the big boy. I just bought a house with a basement about the same size as yours. You're giving me a lot of good ideas and I'm loving it. Well, if you own the house, I'd say just take whatever space you can get. I mean, my main limitation here is that this is not my place. You know, it's my parents' house, so you know, I've kind of just taken up as much space as I, you know, kind of can down here without disturbing too much, I don't think. But anyways, yeah, if it's your own place and you got similar size basement, man, the possibilities. That'd be kind of like my dream. If I won the lottery, just buy up an entire warehouse and you buy a ton of lumber, frame some massive layout, and just build everything you could imagine. I think another super chat might have come in. I guess not. Okay, there we go. I lost the chat for a second there. Okay, this is a problem here. There we go. I think we got every wheel on. You should ask Rod Stewart to come on your show when he's in town on tour. I mean, I don't know if he'd show up for a channel my size, but yeah, that'd be really cool. I have to get all my New York Central engines out. I'm pretty sure that's what he models. I don't know. I think Model Railroader did a piece on his layout years ago. I saw the big boy in real life when it went to Fort Worth. That must have been something to behold. I've seen one of these big boy locomotives in real life. I think it was maybe 1412. It's whichever one they have up at Steamtown. It was incredible to get to see one. Obviously, that was not operating, but it's I don't know. It's just mind-boggling when you actually see one in person. SMT, quick question. What's the best place/website to buy model trains beside the manufacturer's websites? I guess I'll say eBay, but I don't know. I take that with a grain of salt because eBay is a bit of a mixed bag. Yeah, it really depends on the seller, I guess. Sometimes you can find good deals, but I don't know. There's definitely a lot of people price gouging. What's your favorite car? Well, my dream car is a 1969 Dodge Charger. So I guess that would be my favorite car, but I don't know. I kind of have more than one favorite. Currently, I've got an Oldsmobile or a 98 Regency. That's a pretty groovy car. I like that machine. I love the old sedans though. Everybody right now is into buying SUVs and trucks, and I don't have anything against SUVs and trucks, but personally they're just not my flavor. I like sedans. I think that they look a lot better and they definitely perform a lot better. Hey SMT, do you have a lifelike Union Pacific F40PH? If you can you run it? I grew up with the locomotive and it was my very first model train set. I wish I could. I don't think I have the Union Pacific model of that locomotive. I've got a lifelike Canadian National one, and I've got the the Canadian National, the Amtrak, and possibly one other, but I think that is it. Do you own a motorcycle? If so, what is it? I don't own a motorcycle. I do own a mini bike, which isn't really a motorcycle, but funny story. I have some friends and they live out on a farm way out in the country, and for a while I was storing the mini bike out there. Once in a while I would just kind of take it for a drive, in the mornings. It was nice going through all these farm fields on the mini bike. Anyways, I'm driving along this country road, and this motorcyclist's coming from the other direction. And it was so funny because I thought, no way. He goes like this. Motorcyclists have like the whole hand gestures thing there. And I just thought that that was hilarious that I'd been like kind of accepted into the biking club on this clapped out mini bike. Oh man, that made my day. I was laughing about that for weeks. Is there a good way to know when these live streams are happening? I find out after the stream is over, YouTube won't give me notifications for this channel because of the channel type. Won't give you because of the channel type. I didn't know there were different varieties of notifications for the channel. I thought you just selected the bell icon. They're kind of miscellaneous, if I'm honest. Usually they're kind of like after 8. Usually after 8 on a weekday, but there's no specific time. There's no feeling when getting the gesture from a fellow biker. Well, I mean, if I was on a motorcycle, it would have been like, yeah, cool. I just thought it was funny because I was on this terrible old mini bike. Thing hardly runs. Hello from the Yukon. Oh, okay. Somebody's way out in the bush. Michigan Rail fan, are my comments coming through? I can see this one. I had an old Lifelike locomotive. I feel like most model railroaders had a Lifelike engine at some point in their lives. Some of them maybe feel more fondly about it than others, but Lifelike was a pretty big deal. Hey, SMT, WD-40 can melt some plastic. It melted my plastic Titanic model. Now it's a Titanic wreck. So yeah, now what I want to do is I want to find a whole bunch of old locomotive shells and I want to spray them all down with WD-40 and see if it affects the plastic or not. It's because it's YouTube Kids or something. It doesn't allow notifications. That's really weird because this is not a kids channel. I hope these videos are not getting into YouTube Kids. I'm working with like soldering irons and all sorts of other treacherous pieces of equipment. It was before the pancake era drive. They had a couple before the pancake drives. The first Lifelike locomotives were basically just plastic Varney engines, and then the second generation was actually, you know, more or less their own design. And those were actually pretty good, the 70s era stuff. And then they went to the pancake drive, which was kind of notorious. I don't know what else to tell you. It won't let me get notifications. Anyway, I'll stop whining, run a Milwaukee Road. Pretty sure somebody sent a Milwaukee Road engine in recently. We'll throw that on there. Well, this is not a Milwaukee Road. This is a... I think that this was a Milwaukee Road and then somebody turned it into a Chicago Central, but it looks similar enough to a Milwaukee Road that I'm just going to throw it on there and pretend it's the same thing. I mean, I suppose I could also just throw on the Fox Valley Hiawatha, but I don't know. I have a funny story. By the way, you may have done this, but my first friend had a Bachmann 060. He thought it had a smoke unit. It didn't have one. He put some in and it burned the engine out. Huh. I have a Lifelike F40 that was bought used. I suspect the previous owner did not service it. Probably not. It's so uncommon to, it's very rare to find a consumer grade locomotive which has been taken care of. I find most of them, you know, they were got by a kid or a beginner, and somebody ran the snot out of them, and they never oiled them up or anything, so that's one thing you have to watch out for. Most old Tyco engines are not in such great shape. I think that the Tyco stuff is actually going to become quite rare. Not in general, but Tyco stuff in good condition. I think that there's going to be a point where Tyco engines are actually going to become quite collectible if they're in good condition, in their box, everything like that. Have you ever thought about making a 3x6 or a 4x8 N scale layout? Well, I've got another layout in the works, and I think that that's a 3x6, so that layout's going to need work, but I think it's going to be a nice addition. What's the most frustrating part about building a layout? I would probably say putting it together can be really enjoyable, but there are certain moments where it can be kind of a pain in the neck. I don't know, just trying to get certain pieces of track to line up. Like when I was building this layout, you know, trying to get those two tracks to cross over each other, it had to all be at a very specific angle. So it just took a lot of time in adjusting, and sometimes that can get a bit tedious. But for the most part, it's all good. It's just getting kind of caught up on a problem. Do you have an A-Team Tyco set? I don't think I do. Texas Model Railroader, welcome to the live stream. I imagine working with the wiring can be somewhat tedious. Yeah, at times it can be. The tricky part is if you're trying to work with old track or old wiring, trying to solder that together is really tricky, but I don't know. Soldering can be very enjoyable if you're working with good metal. You still have to restore the John Deere locomotive. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if it was in the video when we tested it, but it turned out to be missing parts. I'll have to look into that. The problem with that John Deere engine is that if it is missing parts, it's the generation after the blue boxes, so I wouldn't have any spare parts laying around, so I might have to improvise. I don't know what's going on with that. As soon as we start running trains in this section of the layout, I'm going to realize, oh, the track works pretty bad here too, and then I'll have to redo that as well. If you have 3 arms, soldering is wonderful to do. Yeah, pretty much. When it goes right, it's very satisfying just seeing the solder like flow into the metal. I don't know. I get a bit religious with soldering. Almost every joiner you see here is soldered. I just find it really helps improve electrical connections, and it also prevents your track from doing funny things. You have to have little gaps to help with, you know, when the basement heats up and cools down, you have to allow it to expand and contract. But you do that on the straight sections. It doesn't make a difference if you have gaps on a corner. Having large gaps in the track can cause some funky things to happen. I'm building an O-scale layout and an HO scale layout under it. I'm really excited. Do you have any tips for what I should add to it? I would say if you don't know what to add to it, get inspired. Get some old model railroader magazines. That's a good way. Or I don't know, just check out other people's layouts. There's always somewhere you can draw inspiration for your layout. It's always something. Soldering is therapeutic for me. My dad showed me how to do it on an old soldering pen. I don't know what's going on with this engine right here. It just seems to have gotten caught up on that switch again. I don't understand why it went through the first few times without having any issues, and now all of a sudden it's having problems. Huh. How's Nerf Cat doing? Not too bad. Please do a layout in the modern Canadian town with modern diesels. I don't know. I think I'm going to leave it as is. I don't have an issue. If people want to build a modern layout and stuff, all the power to them. I'm just really not for getting too particular with time and location. Okay, I think I might have fixed the issue. It's a problem when you add ballast to stuff. See if it derails next time. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm starting to think that this engine itself is having issues because it just derailed on this switch too. Gotta wonder. Let's try running something else through there, maybe. Ace Railfan, thank you so much for the super sticker. Looking for another steam locomotive to build now that the triplex is done. Harrison, do you have any ideas? What would be interesting? I think it'd be cool to build some sort of an experimental steam locomotive. I don't know which one, but if you go online, you look for old experimental engines. Those are really fascinating, and there hasn't been many people to my knowledge who have actually built models of them, so it's probably where I would look. The axles are probably not on correctly. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they split a little bit. I have a track gauge. We could use that to see if they're all in spec or not. I'm gonna start up a new show. It's gonna be called, is it Track or Train? Thanks for the second super chat there, Ace. Doesn't look bad. That one's fine. That seems good. Gee, I don't know. I'm starting to think that maybe the problem is my track and not the engine. Here's another test you can always do. Does it pivot up in both directions? And can you rotate it side to side? Just kind of see if there's any spots where it snags. And yeah, I think that the track might be the issue. I really don't see I really don't see what's wrong with this. It looks all good to me. The layout looks great. Thanks. I think that this just keeps getting stuck because of that certain switch, so I guess we'll try running something else. I haven't run this in a long time. I don't know if it's actually going to work, but we'll try it out. Oh, thank you so much for the Super Chat, Texas Model Railroader. $30, very generous. The track rebuilding fund. Another super sticker from Ace Rail Fan. This one's of a Nerf cat. Well, it's not running great, but it's moving. Or it was, I should say. What's your opinion on Kato Unitrack for HO? I've never actually used it before, but every person I know who has used it seems to have good things to say about it. So if you're willing to pay the price, I guess there's nothing wrong with it. It's weird. This thing had no problems starting up, but now it seems to be starting to have some issues. See if we can get this just to make a lap. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that one's not a good idea. You show me Nerf Cat. I don't know where Nerf Cat is at the moment. Here's something. I found this years ago. I was going to Larkspur Line in Merrickville. It was 2013, and this horrible snowstorm had come through. And the next day we went up to the train store, and the roads were in terrible shape. Anyways, we got in there, and they had this in the consignment section for $10 or something like that. Anyways, it's an old AHM engine. These are nothing too remarkable, but you know, for a $10 engine, she does not run half bad. See, it doesn't run half bad. They're all getting caught on that same switch. I don't know. Maybe it's time to replace that. I do use the HO Unitrack, and so far it's done very well for me. Way better than Bachmann's X crap. Easy crap. Yeah, I mean, Bachmann's gray roadbed track I'm sure is okay because it's nickel silver, but yeah, the stuff with the black roadbed, not fantastic. I mean, you could say the same thing for Lifelike too, but yeah, I don't know. Easy Track just seems a little bit weird to me because it uses rail joiners, which, you know, you're really not supposed to use too many times. So if you build a layout and you take it apart and put it back together again, it's just going to end up wearing down those joiners. I mean, the whole point of Easy Track is you can take it apart and put it back together. The nice thing about Lifelike is that they used Powerlock Track, which didn't actually have any rail joiners. Seems like a much better way to connect your track. Have you heard of the arcade in Attica? I can't say I have. You ran when I asked for, even though you didn't read my comment. Oh, I'm sorry I missed your comment. I'm glad I still was able to run the engine you wanted, though. Do you have any locomotives by Hornby? I've got an Intercity 125. I don't know if this thing can handle the radius of curves, but we're gonna try to run it anyways. Okay, it wants to go that way. I think the Hornby Triangle locomotive has gotten stuck, and I've got a pretty good feeling where. Oh, no, it didn't get stuck on that switch. This time it got stuck on this switch. Let's just see if we can get this thing power back up. Yeah, there we go. Let's just give it more voltage. That always fixes problems. Love that the inner track is set up. Yeah. I think that the engine actually derailed that time. Well, that's unfortunate. You run the Blue Goose. The Blue Goose, I think, is broken. You run the GS4. Yeah, we couldn't make that happen. I'm gonna see if the wheels are actually both turning the same direction. Something's not right about this engine. Weird. Alright, let's see if we can get that brass daylight going. I gotta say, the big boy's really just been running like a tank. Hasn't had any issues ever since we finally got it going the first time. Can you run the Go Transit FP40 locomotive? Yeah, we'll try to run that on the inner circuit, but I'll get the GS4 on first. I'll probably finish off the live stream after that because I've almost been going for 2 hours. Big boy is running like a dream. Not too bad. Hey Harrison, what's the word on the O-scale floor? Yeah, the O-scale set on the floor. I'm gonna fix that up. I actually bought a new O-scale locomotive, which I'm getting ready to unbox. So stay tuned for that. I'm probably not gonna make any changes. I just want to turn it into a functioning layout. Really all I want. I just want something to run the odd O-scale train on. Doesn't have to be too fancy. Now, yeah, so there's the brass engine. Now, the first live stream where I tried to run this thing was nothing but derailments. The second live stream where I tried to run it, it derailed once, but then it was fine for the rest of the stream. So what does everybody think? Are we in for another derailment stream, or is it going to be a good one this time? Track fund going strong. Texas Modeler, did you send a second super chat? Thank you so much. Okay, that's not right there. Okay. I'm guessing the flange doesn't like one of the switches into derails. Something like that. What's your fave brand of HO? Gee. I mean, as far as used stuff goes, that Saturn Blue Box. As for modern, I don't know, it kind of depends. I like Kato's stuff. I like Athearn, Atlas, Walters, Rapido. Those are the ones that kind of come to mind off the top of my head. Oh, man. Before the stream ends, can you run the River Rossi AC 11 cab Ford last super chat? I promise. Yeah, for that, absolutely. Ridiculously generous. Really did not have to do that, but I do appreciate it. I was running the thing earlier. How can I have already lost the engine? Okay, here it is. How can I already have lost the engine? I think my English is going away with level of tiredness. Also, for some reason, the brass engine's just jammed up. I don't know what the deal with that is. Oh, it derailed. So minus that one hiccup, that was not too bad for the or a GS4. There was one live stream where I was trying to run that thing, and it was like every single time I'd get it back on track, it would go into another corner and derail immediately. So for it to do a few laps like that is not, you know, it'd be better if it did a few more, but I'm not disappointed, that's for sure. Harrison, can you run the steam engine from the last video? The sound was amazing. Steam engine. The SMT locomotive? We'll probably run that. So there you go, Texas Model Railroader. I'll let that go around for one more rotation and then swap it out for the SMT Berkshire. Norman Corey, you inspired me to add a third main line with blocks and 3 controllers, but can still run it on 2 or even one lot of wiring. I'm kind of thinking of going that way with this layout, like isolating the inner loop. That way you can run trains separately. I feel like that would be a good idea. I think that band might have gotten loose again. Let's see if I can find something to push those wires in. Let the GO train pass. All right, let's see if that fixed it. Yeah, that's more like it. Clicked something and now it's trying to, okay, yeah, there we go. When it chuffs and doesn't move, the plug is loose. Such an impressive locomotive. Hey SMT, have you ever thought of buying an HO scale CSX maintenance of the way locomotives and rolling stock? I'd like to have some more maintenance of the way stuff, but not specifically from CSX. Is that a poster or a stack of boxes? That is a stack of boxes. Those were all going to be thrown out. I didn't have space for them anymore, and I don't know, there's a lot of people that come down here to check out the layout and they're not really into trains, so I just thought it would be cool. I'd build a bit of an art piece, and then for the people that are not into trains, they can kind of get an idea of what, I don't know, vintage train boxes. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, okay, here's a 1950 whatever River Rossi, and then here's a box from that area. You know what I mean? Like, you can kind of give them something to compare to. I just thought it'd be better than chucking those boxes away. Well, I donated $90 to SMT Mainline to get some new track because I heard he had some spots that needed new tracks, so it's the track fund. SMT Mainline's track work, brought to you by Texas Model Railroader. Can you get an HO scale Norfolk Southern J class locomotive? The streamlined one? Give us a look at the chocolate factory. Yeah, sure. Probably gonna finish off the stream soon, but for anybody who wasn't here earlier, it's mostly done. Just little bits and pieces here and there, but that's pretty much it. Anyways, now I had the stream going for about an hour and 12 minutes, so I think I'm going to finish things off here. I'll read a few more of these comments. Norman Corey, Harrison, I added weight to that and a motor. She pulled over 20 cars on my layout. Not bad. I have a Tyco locomotive. What is track or train, SMT? Sorry, I don't understand that question. Scale trains just announced, and TF tooled 611. Oh, that might be good timing for looking for one of those western northern locomotives. Yeah, thanks again, Texas Modeler. Good night, SMT. Yeah, so I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thanks to everybody for stopping in. I had a lot of fun running the trains and chatting with all of you fine folks out there. I think we'll finish things off. I'll let the trains go by one more time. Why don't you run 2 engines on 1 train? Speed matching is tricky. All right, have a terrific night.